This video we are going to focus solving quadratic equations by quadratic formula. So another way to solve a quadratic equation means a second degree variable has a second degree. Another way to solve a quadratic equation, we talked about factoring in the beginning of this course, but now we're talking about the equations where factoring doesn't work. There's other techniques we can use to solve those kind of equations. The other techniques can be using the square root property, completing the square method, or quadratic formula. So we will be looking at how to solve ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0 using quadratic formula. So in this video, I'm not getting into how to derive the quadratic formula, just how to use the quadratic formula. That's my main focus in this video. Quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Comes very, very handy when you cannot quickly solve your equation by factoring. This technique also works for the equations that are solvable by factoring. So you can always use quadratic formula even if your equation is factorable. This method is easier than completing the square method and works for every quadratic equation, even if it's non-factorable. Okay, quadratic formula story. So I ask my students to remember this story, that way they never forget the quadratic formula. A negative boy could not decide, so negative boy could not decide means plus and minus sign, whether to go to a radical party, so square root radical party. But the boy was squared, the boy B was squared, because he missed means minus 4 awesome chicks, 4 AC, 4 awesome chicks, and the party was over at 2 a.m. So if you remember this story, you will never forget the quadratic formula. Be cautious. You must write the equation in standard form first, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. Your b can be 0, your c can be 0, a cannot be equal to 0. So first write it in the standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. Then identify your a, b, and c and plug them into quadratic formula and simplify. Let's see some examples. The first example, I have x squared plus 3x minus 2 equal to 0. My a is 1, b is 3, c is negative 2. Quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So I'm going to plug in the values of a, b, and c here. Remember to take the signs of a, b, and c with them, positives and negatives. They stick with a, b, and c because we are comparing it to ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. A is the number in the front of x squared, and I don't see any, so there's a hidden 1. And b is 3, c is negative 2. All right, so negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Negative 3 plus minus square root of 9. Negative 4 times negative 2 will be a positive 8. And if I multiply that by 1, it's still going to be a positive 8 divided by 2. So x equals negative 3 plus minus square root of 9 plus 8 is 17 divided by 2. And there's my two solutions. And if you choose to, if you wish, you could write them as two separate solutions. Negative 3 plus square root of 17 divided by 2, or negative 3 minus square root of 17 divided by 2. So in online homework systems might ask you to give a smaller solution, a larger solution. Just cater to whatever their needs are, however they're asking you to give their final solution. On paper, I'm also okay with plus minus in the middle. 4y squared minus 2 equals 12y. Now we're going to put it in the standard form first. We need to rearrange because it's not in the standard form. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. So we have 4y squared minus 12y minus 2 equal to 0. A is 4, b is negative 12, c is negative 2. Okay, don't forget the signs. The signs go with them. So b is negative 12, c is negative 2. Let's go ahead and plug them into the quadratic formula now and figure out the values of y. I don't have x in this case. This case I have y. So y equals negative b, which is negative b plus minus square root of b squared negative 12 squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2a. All right, simplification, be very careful with positives and negatives. You have a bunch of parentheses. It's easy to make mistakes if you're not being careful. Negative times negative is going to be a positive 12 plus minus square root of negative 12 squared is positive 144. And when you multiply a negative times negative, it's going to be a positive. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32 divided by 8. Now, I need to figure out what is, let's see. I could make my life easier by dividing everything on both sides with 2 in the beginning. We'll talk about that at the end. So I have 12 plus minus square root of 144 plus 32. That's equal to 176 divided by 8. Now, this doesn't look very good to me because I can still factor things out and simplify this. The square root of 176, if I break 176, 176 is going to be 16 times 11. Let me double check. 16 times 11 is 176. 16 times 11 is 176. That means I can pull out a 4 from the square root. Now I'm going to try to simplify it further. I see a common factor. I see a 12, 4, and 8. There is a common factor, so I'm going to factor a 4 out from the numerator and cancel the 4 with the 8 in the denominator. So my final answer turns out to be 12 plus minus square root of 11 divided by 2. And that is my final answer. We cannot simplify it any. Oh, 1 second. Not correct. Because when I factored the 4 out, I didn't factor it from 12. We are factoring the 4 from the whole numerator. So this would be 3 plus minus root 11 divided by 2. And that's my final answer. Okay, awesome. Again, you can split into two answers, write one with the positive, one with the negative, or you can write them combined with plus minus in the middle. Here's number 3. We have, again, not in the standard form. So first step is to bring everything to the left-hand side. Then figure out your A, B, and C. Your A is 2 here, B is negative 4, C is negative 3. And the quadratic formula says a negative boy could not decide to go to the radical party. The boy was squared because he missed 4 awesome chicks and the party was over at 2 a.m. So negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now it's just simplification. Negative times negative will give me a positive 4. Square root of 16. Negative times negative is a positive. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24 divided by 4. Okay, so we have 4 plus minus 16 plus 24 is 40 divided by 4. If you leave it right there, it would be not absolutely correct because you can still simplify. Here, we still need to do some simplification, so it's not done yet. And we need to factor things out from the numerator and cancel with the common factors in the denominator. So looks like in the numerator, first step would be to break that 40. 40 is 10 times 4, and I can pull a 2 out. 2 root 10 over 4. Now, take out the GCF from the numerator. GCF is 2, so 2 times 2 plus minus root 10 divided by 4. Cancel the common factor between numerator and denominator, and your final answers would be x equals 2 plus minus square root of 10 divided by 2. At this point, some students make a big mistake of canceling this 2 and 2, which is a big no-no, because the 2 in the numerator is not alone. It's not in the factored form. It is connected to that square root of 2 with the operation of plus and minus. So 2 is not alone in the numerator. You cannot go ahead and cancel that out. That would be a big mistake. Okay. So 2 root 10 divided by 2. That's all we're left with. Okay. And don't cancel the 2's because 2 is not a monomial. 2 is not sitting in the factored form. All right, so reason to not cancel 2, really quick, I want to show you. Let's just take an example on the fly. I'll make one. If you have 2 plus 5 divided by 2. Let's just go with this to keep things easy. Or maybe I can say 4 plus 5 divided by 2. 4 plus 5 divided by 2. Now we know the true value of this fraction is 9 divided by 2, which is 3.5. This is the correct value. But what if somebody says, hey, I don't like that 2. I can cancel the 2 and the 4 here. I'm going to do this. And now it becomes 2 plus 5, which is 7. And that's absolutely not correct. Okay, so don't cancel unless you see something sitting in the factored form between numerator and denominator. So this 2 is not in the factored form. Don't cancel these, all right? And the whole thing is your final answer. Let's see 2 more examples of quadratic formula, then we'll call it quits. 8m squared minus 2m equals 7. Again, the first step is to bring everything to the left-hand side and write in the standard form. A is 8, B is -2, C is -7. Now, quadratic formula says x equals, in my case, the variable is m, equals -b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So I get m equals -b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4 times 8 times -7 divided by 2 times 8. So it comes out to be 2 plus minus -2 squared is 4. Negative times negative is a positive. 4 times 8, 32. 32 times 7 is 224. Okay, so I have 224 here. Plus 224 divided by 16. So 2 plus minus 228 divided by 16. And I'm going to see if I can divide 228. If I can pull anything out of this factor. So square root of 228. Looks like it's 4 times 57. So this is 2 plus minus 4 times 57 divided by 16. And that would be 2 plus minus 2 root 57 divided by 16. Now, if you take out a common factor of 2 from the numerator and cancel the common factors between the denominator, it would be 2, 1 plus minus square root of 57 divided by 16. That gives me my final answer as m equals 1 plus minus square root of 57 divided by 8. And that's it for this is the last step. Here's a try me problem. Go ahead and give it a try and match and check. Your solution should be this. If you don't get this, then come see me for help. Here's another one with fractions involved. Well, there's really, I'm not going to finish it out, but I'll help you get started. One thing you can do is you can bring everything to one side and then say, well, my A is 1/3, B is -1, C is -1/6. And go ahead and plug them into the quadratic formula from there. Or you could make your life easier by multiplying everything on both sides with a 6. And that gives you a 2y squared minus 6y minus 1 equal to 0. Now your A, B, and C are a lot nicer. No more fractions to deal with. They'll be easier to plug in. Okay, so give it a try. Here's next example, number 6. Let me see if I want to do number 6. Let's see. 3x squared plus 2 equals -4x. This is the last example we're doing. 3x squared plus 4x plus 2 equal to 0. A is 3, B is 4, C is 2. X is -b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4 times 3 times 2 divided by 2 times a. negative b, plus minus square root of 16 minus 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24 divided by 6. Negative 4 plus minus 16 minus 24 would be negative 8 over 6. Now, whenever you have negative in the square root, there is an I. So I'm going to pull out an I. But I also know that 8 can be written as 4 times 2. So I can pull a 2 out. Negative 4 plus minus 2I root 2 divided by 6. Now there's a common factor between the numerator and denominator. So I can pull out a 2 from the numerator. Negative 2 plus minus I root 2 divided by 6. I pulled a common factor GCF from the numerator. Now, last step to cancel the common factor between numerator and denominator. So my final answer is x equals negative 2 plus I root 2 divided by 3, and x equals negative 2 minus I root 2 divided by 3. Let me rewrite it. X equals negative 2 minus I root 2 divided by 3. Okay, these are my two solutions for this problem.